Today we're going to be talking about a technique known as LRGB imaging for astrophotography. It uses a monochrome camera and a filter wheel like this one to capture images through each filter, RGB and Luminance, to create a full color image. So at this point I've captured my image through each filter, LRGB, and I've also captured my calibration frames, which are really important, my dark frames, bias, and my flat frames. So I've got all that data, and we're gonna hop into PixInsight to use a script called weighted batch pre-processing. This is the best way to create an LRGB image, and I'll walk you through that process now. Just a quick note for anyone that doesn't have PixInsight, you can do this in Deep Sky Stacker in Photoshop only. And if you want to do that method, I have it in my image processing guide, which is listed in the description. We are going to use the WBPP, or weighted batch pre-processing script, in PixInsight. And it's one of those daunting tools that I put off using for quite a while because I just didn't understand it. But luckily it's not too complicated, and I'll show you the exact settings I use to create an LRGB image using this stacking script. So the first thing you're going to do is get all of your files in here. So I'll just start with my lights. And because they're through 4 filters, there's a lot of them. So I'll start with my red. I always just go in this order, RGB, L. I've got about 26 frames in each filter. So I have my reds there, and it's going to recognize that they're taken with the red filter. I'll get the green. These are all 4 minutes each, and you can see them being populated in there. You can also, just using that Files button, just select everything and it will sort them out for you. PixInsight automatically uses the FITS header information and the EXIF data to understand the filter you used and the gain and more details about your image. So we've got our RGB in there. I'll just do my Lum next. And again, about an hour and a half for each filter. Not a terrible amount of data to use. So we can see our lights in there, our darks, a lot more straightforward, just 4-minute darks. Did not take enough of those. It must have started getting light out in the morning, typical. And then my flats through each filter, that was fun. So a lot of flats here. And there we go. I didn't take any bias. I probably will get away with that for this project, but ideally you'd have your bias frames as well. There's no excuse. They're so easy to take. Okay, so we've got all of our files in there, our LRGB data from our monochrome camera. Now here's what you need to know. One of the most important ones that I missed early on when I started using this was in the image integration here. So we're in the lights tab and image integration and the parameters. The default is just to not use any sort of rejection algorithm, I believe. Let's just see here. Yeah, auto. So it's just going to use the auto algorithm. What you want to use is the Windsorized Sigma clipping algorithm, and that's for satellite trails. So because I've previewed these images, these light frames, I know I have satellite trails in a few of them, and it really messes things up when they're in different filters. You'll just see it in the green channel, and it's just a mess to deal with. So choose this Windsorized Sigma clipping, and you can even adjust the parameters here if anything goes haywire. I'm gonna leave them at the default, and hopefully that does a good job. I guess we'll find out. Lastly, in this preset here for select, you wanna do maximum quality. So it's gonna take a long time in my experience for this amount of data. This is gonna take about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So I'm gonna run this now and we'll check back in when that's done. I almost forgot, make sure you set your output directory for where it's gonna populate with all of the new files it creates. It's gonna be a lot of data in there, but the folder that is most important is the one called master. This is where your final stacked images will be. Now that that process has finished, we can open up the folder called master, and this is where all of your stacked image frames will be. So you can see them here. This is the blue one, auto crop. It does an auto crop with it. We'll open up the red one first here, and it's going to open up 2 images. The one is just the pixel weighting information. You can just close that. There's no information there that's useful for us. You can just ignore that. So here is our stack of our red image frames. And if I do an auto stretch just to see what's in there, you can see that this is our stack. And now remember that all of the other ones in here are going to automatically line up with this, which is great for building the LRGB image. So it's registered them with each other. So if we stack them on top of each other, they're gonna line up perfectly. So for this red image here, I've done the auto stretch and I'm just gonna cancel that. I'm just gonna open up all the RGB images. So that was green. Let's get the blue out here too. Perfect. Get rid of that extra file. Auto stretch, green. Yeah, they're all here. Just so we can see what we're looking at. Now that's just an auto stretch preview. I haven't actually changed the data in any way. These are still linear images. And I can just go back just to be sure of that. So that's important. You don't want to do any stretching yet. Keep them in their linear form. Now we're going to go into process, all processes, channel combination. Now remember, this is just the RGB. We're not touching that luminance yet. This is the first step. So you click this little button here. So we're in the red category. And then from the drop down, pick your red image. And then your green and your blue and say, okay. Now it's gonna grab all three of these and combine them into an RGB image, which is really exciting because you're gonna get to see your full color image finally in its linear state anyway. So we're gonna say apply global. Now it's made this new image, an RGB color image. We'll do an auto stretch. And there you go. It looks a little green, totally normal out of the box. We need to do some adjustments here. So the next step, we can just turn this back to linear. We're gonna use something called photometric color calibration. So under process, all processes, photometric color calibration. And you click that, it will open up this window here. And as long as you've done your integration in PixInsight using the WBPP process or script, it's going to plate solve the image. That information is going to be there. So this photometric color calibration is actually going to work, because I had trouble with that early on when I was stacking my images in Deep Sky Stacker. The other thing, make sure it's your RGB image in its linear state. You're going to need it to be in that format for this to work as well. So it's as simple as we've got the average spiral galaxy. We're going to go with the default catalog that's already set here, default settings, and we're just going to run it by hitting the apply button. Now what this is doing is using plate solving and a catalog of the night sky to try and match the proper white points and color balance of the image based on the stars that it knows their spectral class and all of that. So super handy. And it's kind of subtle, but it does make a big difference. And it's one of those peace of mind things where you want to make sure you've done your color calibration. So it plots these points on the graph. Not gonna lie, not too sure really what that means. I always close it. So we'll just close this down. And when we do our auto stretch now, look at that. It's more of a natural looking ghost nebula. You can see the star colors are a lot more accurate now where they should be, the warm stars and the cooler ones, all of that. I wanted to show you something else you can do if your resulting image after the channel combination has a color cast to it and things are a little off. You can balance out your image stacks with each other beforehand using a tool called linear fit. And a lot of people swear by this. So in process, all processes, linear fit. And so we just need to select a reference image to choose the lighting levels we want to mimic. So I'm going to choose Luminance. That's the channel you want to use, is your Luminance. So this is still in its linear state. That was just an auto stretch. So with that being our reference image, we can open up our green, and then we'll just take this triangle here and drag it over to the green. Now it's going to balance the background lighting levels with that luminance layer, just to balance things out. It can be very subtle, but also helpful. So it's doing its thing there. We're going to have our balanced green, and if we do our auto stretch, we can see it looks pretty well similar, but if you notice, the background levels now are kind of matched, which is important for the channel combination. So we'll just go through and do the same thing with the red and green. Just grab the triangle, drag it over, and it's using that luminance frame as a reference. So this is something you can do before you do that channel combination if the result is a little weird looking. A lot of people would consider linear fit kind of a necessary step. So I wanted to make sure that I showed that one to you too. So a couple things to note with the image at this stage. My image was shot under dark skies, so the gradients aren't too bad at all, if any. Normally right now you might have to deal with some gradients and you'd want to use a gradient removal tool, something like automatic background extractor, and set the correction mode to subtraction. That method works well. Or you could use dynamic background extractor and do that and plot the points and actually choose where the light pollution and whatever's affecting your image is there to correct it. This image, we're just gonna move on for the sake of the LRGB image tutorial, but that kind of stuff might be happening now. Other things to consider at this stage are noise reduction. You'd wanna do that around now when it's still in its linear state early on, and then star removal to do some really intense stretching of the nebula separate from the stars. We're going to keep it all as one image so I can apply that luminance layer so you can see what that's like, but those are all steps that you would fit in between what I'm going to do next. So I'm just going to save this version of the image with an auto stretch on it. So I'm just going to go to screen transfer function, and then we'll get our histogram transformation open. Now this is an overly aggressive stretch that I wouldn't normally apply to the image, but just to speed things up, we're going to do the auto stretch and save the image that way. Here we go, we've brought those stars along with it. Not a bad image though, all things said and done. Okay, so we're just gonna call this image 1. And then to work on it in Photoshop, you're gonna need to convert it to a 16-bit image to get full control over the options. So we're gonna go into Photoshop and open image 1. Here we go. Okay, so there it is. Unfortunately, you may see that I have a satellite trail in my green channel. So obviously my aggressiveness settings for the rejection model weren't strong enough. So hopefully you did better than I did there. Okay, now let's finally look at our luminance data. If we open it up here, now ideally you'll have collected much more than an hour and a half worth of luminance like I have. It's the most important signal to collect for a broadband subject like this. So it's not uncommon to have 4 times as much luminance as you do for your color data in RGB, because that is that natural broadband signal of just white light. So the more luminance you can get, the better. But I'll show you how to apply this onto our RGB combination that we have. So again, I'm just going to apply this auto stretch. Here we go, stars and all. And I'll just save that as luminance 1.tiff. Now I'm going to change this to a 16-bit file for Photoshop to have full control over it there. And now I'll open it up. Here's our luminance. And I'm just going to select all, Control A, Control C to copy, and paste it on top. So now this grayscale layer that we've put on top, we're going to have to change the blend mode here in Photoshop. So the default is at normal. We're going to change it to luminosity. That's our luminance layer. So as you can see, it kind of washes the image out to start with, but it's adding some very important signal in there overall. So what people normally do is for their color layer here, I'm just going to create a copy. You can get much more aggressive with the saturation and your stretching of your color data. And then your luminance layer on top will just have the details in there. And with this luminance layer, because it's set basically, just the auto stretch, you can control this as well and do some stretching to balance things out. So just as a quick stretch there, you can start to see how there is the image in just RGB alone. And now look at my luminance layer on top. Do you see how it's adding a glow to the faint dust there. Now that was very haphazard that I did that, and I'm definitely gonna need to do some SE&R and some noise reduction, and I see a bit of gradient going on there as well. But I won't bore you with all that. I'm probably gonna spend an hour or two fixing all that, but that's the basic process of capturing or creating an LRGB image using PixInsight and then finishing it off in Photoshop. There are so many ways to process your astrophotography images, so many variations of techniques that you can experiment with to put your own artistic flair on the picture. While this isn't the only way to create an LRGB image, I hope that it was useful for you to see my process to give you a straightforward roadmap to follow. If you'd like to see more image processing tutorials on this channel, let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. So good luck on your next LRGB project. And until next time, clear skies.